Hello, and welcome to Metachemistry. This is episode 98, and it's an extra special episode today. We're doing kind of an out-of-schedule release for this. This is a special interview with the one and only Carlos Bostria, who is joining Ian and I today. Hi, Carlos. How are you this fine weekend?
Okay, hello Ian, hello Devin. Glad to be here, making a special edition of the Metachemistry podcast with you. Let's talk about M5. We can also talk about the Infinity Global Week and the crack that we just went through. Lots of exciting things to share here, and I'm glad to be here with your big-ass microphone.
Absolutely. Well, we're really happy to have you. We really appreciate you taking the time both to come out to the event and to be on the show. But before we get started, we want to give a quick thank you to Polly Nikes over at Mo Games for sponsoring Metachemistry.
He almost won the tournament.
It was close. Top table.
Yeah.
And so you can find that storefront for all your Infinity needs at mo-games.com. All of our patrons get a 10% discount code to that storefront, and if you're just on our Discord, whether you're a patron or not, we raffle off a $40 coupon code every month for that. Because what's better than games? Mo Games. But for the reason we're all here is to talk about N5. So, Carlos, where would you like to start? I know we've already gotten a little bit of information from the seminar that's already shot across the internet, but what is kind of exciting you the most about N5 so far?
Difficult question. Lots of stuff going on at the same time. The amount of news and... Before even getting into M5, we should talk about the state of the union right now, okay?
Sure.
Because Corvus Belli has just launched a Warcrow. Corvus Belli has just announced an Infinity TV series. Corvus Belli at some point launched an AI, interactive AI that answers all your questions about Infinity Fluff and upcoming rules, okay? Corvus Belli has many things going on. Apart from there will be two boxes, like in the future, for beginning Infinity and 5. One for veterans and one for beginners. That's also that we should also put effort in differentiating, in highlighting that, because the images of Essentials Start Here, which is the name of the box, has been already published during this crack. But right. I can see people being confused and thinking that is like Operation Sandtrap, saying, oh, they put the old Fusiliers. Oh, no. No, okay. Essentials Start Here is going to be very affordable for the amount of content that it brings. Okay, and in one of the decisions for making that affordable is using classic miniatures. Okay, so 2 Fusiliers from Ironstorm, the Orc from Ironstorm, 2 Keisotsus from the Action Pack, classic Action Pack from GSA, and the Shikami, which was not in that Action Pack, but it was a very successful blister in a certain way. So those are the figures that comes apart from a gaming board, certain terrain, dice, stat cards, rules, markers, So probably it's going to be like around $40, which is very, 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 aggressive price in order to make everybody like feel like, come on, it's a huge deal. I can see even some veterans saying, hey, come on, for this price I get it, But that is not the super duper up to 11 box that will come at some moment. Probably we will have like a pre-order bundle with the book and the Operation Sandtrap box.
Sure.
Which will deliver the Pano Kestrel Colonial Force Sectoral Army and the JSA Shinden Butai new Japanese Army. That brings the Raiden back,
Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, I still have my old one, and I'm super excited to put them both out at the same time.
Right?
So, whatever effort I can put with this audio file here, do not confuse one with the other, okay? One beginner box and one veteran box. Both awesome. Get them both. Why not?
Yeah. The Operation Sandtrap is going to follow the same general format of other Operation boxes.
No, they will be a bit different. It is since we have Essentials Start Here becoming the Infinity 101 teaching the game, we can be a bit more sectorial army focused with the Sandtrap, Operation Sandtrap box. Because remember that our previously 3 battle packs were all Code 1. Operation Kallstrom, Operation Crimson Stone, Operation
Blackwind.
Yeah.
We're very happy with those, but those the booklet that comes inside those boxes has always been okay. Let's begin. Order, ARO, 3 against 3. Now we put here combat jam, infiltration. Now we put here heavy infantry. Now we put here more stuff. So since we know that those check marks are covered by the start here and all the videos that we have to make in order to grab gently the beginner players from the hand, we know that the booklet from Operation Sandtrap can be a bit more like directly focused on the veteran player, giving him like a narrative tutorial missions like that has certain flavor. Fire teams can be addressed. So that's never happened in any of the previous battle boxes. So a bit like, okay, you're in the adult swimming pool or something like that,
right?
And we can be a bit more like directing to the point of playing M5. I think there will be not a hard transition from M4 to M5, like it was for other people from N2 to N3 or from N3 to N4. I think that M5 is going to be very smoothly, okay? Because at its genesis, the most ambitious ideas or the most radical changes or the most restrictive decisions were rejected, were dropped down. Because there were very important, very meaningful conversations at the beginning of the project. Sorry, I'm jumping from one subject to another. When M5 got green light, and there are many corporate decisions for that, okay? But when the developers were like, okay, let's begin M5, there were very important conversations. The developers who made Code 1, who made M4, and who also made Infinity Deathmatch Tag Raid, they never pushed the engine of Infinity so far away as when with Tag Raid. Tag Raid were not just one player against another, were like 4 simultaneous players plus an AI. So the game never reached those levels of stress. And they came out with many solutions for that. And also, when doing it, they consider, okay, these solutions, many of these issues, many of this stuff can be applied for a hypothetical M5. But from a designer, from a rules developer point of view, to avoid problems, you have to cut freedom from the players, be more restrictive. So those ideas were there, safe in a drawer. When M5 came, they put it on the table, but they were rejected. Okay, but I'm talking about cutting freedom from the player totally, like forcing him to always move first, forcing all the panoply of skills and maneuvers that you can do, reduce it. Okay, stuff like that was on the table, like big changes. Okay. And at the end, they say, no, after 15 years of tournaments, we cannot suddenly change the game that much because we're talking about the DNA of the game.
Right.
Order, ARO, stuff like that. If you touch it, the whole castle of cards collapse. Okay. So suddenly you change one of those and suddenly many units, many maneuvers, many meta of the tournaments might collapse because you change that. So they, after many discussions, they say, okay, M5 has to be very continuistic of M4 because we reached this point after so many years that it's a castle of cards, I don't know, house of cards,
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I lost track of what I was going to say, but it's difficult. If you think about reinforcements, which has not been successful as a rule or as a tournament mode, people was not into it, and many missions from ITS cannot work with reinforcements.
Sure.
Frontline, suddenly you pick 100 points, suddenly you pin the table, breaks frontline, stuff like that, or quadrant control. So it's very difficult for a game that has been around so this long, that has a competitive meta, a competitive community jumping from tournament to tournament, to incorporate suddenly a new role on the battlefield. That you can incorporate a new role on the battlefield, but is that meaningful? Is that useful? We know that right now people are not using paratroopers that much, and nowadays Infinity. People prefer to use camo skirmishers. You know, so there are a constant circle of life of units that are meaningful, valuable, cost effective. You know, the competitive scene always has this Darwinian filter with units.
Absolutely.
And you can come up with lovely concept art or artistic miniatures, good looking figures, but then there's the filter of the competitive meta, and many of them fall behind, you know, because they are not 23 points, super effective specialist, accomplished plasma rifle, and everything all together, you know. And when one of those units is like that, everybody's demanding that to be on their army, you know. So it's very, very stressful and very difficult to suddenly have a new idea and put it in the meta of ITS season 20, whatever, you know, with 15, 16, 17. And integrate it and make it thumbs up for everyone, you know.
Sure.
So there's a lot of decisions here,
Yeah, and I mean, whenever you're changing a core rule set, I mean, there's always going to be some things that will upset someone, and probably a lot of things that will upset some people for a brief time until they get exposure to those rules. But so when considering, at least from a game design perspective, when you're coming to the table for N5, what were some of the main goals of Corvus Belli in terms of how they wanted the game to progress in this new edition? Like, what were they looking for?
Yeah, well, you said two things in the same question. You talk about Corvus Belli, the company, and at the same time you mentioned kind of the rules developers, the healthy state of the game, and different stuff, really.
That's fair.
Yeah, because Corvus Belli, the company, right now wants to push the IP, the intellectual property of Infinity, up.
Absolutely.
Regarding marketing, regarding brand recognition, regarding there's a TV series coming, regarding there are many interests of making Infinity. Infinity has Brain Racers, has Defiance, right? Many other games. So the company is like, okay, we want Infinity to be more relevant, to be in the market there. There's a new edition coming. We need it to happen. What else? The popularity of the game has to rise up. We know that we have now a super bowl of content coming out because of the TV series, of the AI, as I said, many things going on.
Right.
And we also want to rise sales and sell more copies of everything, of course, yeah.
Sure.
Apart from Warcraft happening, so many things, you know.
Acheron's Fall.
Acheron's Fall happening, what else? Toys happening, also the figures, many things. So the company wants to push the game further and push the IP up there. And the media strategy right now is going to be not just focusing, not just helping the game, that it will be, but pushing the IP.
Sure.
There are going to be videos about the units, fluff. It's a lovely slideshow of 3D animation and artwork and stills of the miniatures with a voiceover saying the specific fluff, not the Yuchin fluff, but the Gilan fluff or something like that. Not the JSA fluff, also the Nokisaru unit fluff, dropping names.
Coming soon.
Yeah, but in order that that's enjoyable for someone who plays the war game, also for someone who, what is this? It's visually attractive, I like it. Okay. So that is the company point of view. Rules developers point of view is they want the healthy, most attractive, easy to join in, but also competitive, balanced game possible. Helois and Frank are rules developers of Infinity, yes, but tournament organizers also, players also, members of the community who are in constant contact with the community. They open their social media and it's all people about Infinity talking to them. So they are super aware of, nobody's using now Hellcats. For example, let's say it like that. Nobody's using this tag because it's worse than the other tag, whatever. So they're constantly aware of it. And they have to look at M5 like an opportunity to make the game beginner friendly, to get the game more balanced regarding the whole profile thing on the meta. So there's a lot of issues there. And remember that also when we launched M4 and Code 1, the pandemic hit.
Right.
And Corvus Belli got a lot of money for making the new edition, but the constant question was, imagine if we didn't even have a pandemic over us, because the pandemic cut totally out of the schedule all the demos that the Warcross were going to make with the new Code 1 set. The pandemic totally killed the tournament scene, which is so important for Corvus Belli. The pandemic, many things. So
it gutted a lot of our local metas. We lost half our people or more.
Yeah.
And it's been years to rebuild.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Luckily now there's no such thing. So M5 was going to be successful and all that stuff. But you think about it and it's like bad timing. And luckily we made Defiance just 2019. That was great. But so many different levels of the company for thinking about M5.
Sure. So so it sounds like a lot of it is about accessibility, helping new player onboarding, but without changing the core of the game, at least.
Well, that's the polishing the diamond, as I say. I put it in images. I was saying that in Spanish also. Like after 15 years of tournaments and people breaking the game and you fix it, and breaking the game and you fix it, like what we have now is like something that nobody could have come up in Infinity and One back in 2005. Let's make a sci-fi game. Yes, here it is. Blah. Missions, tournaments, balance, armies, profiles, mathematics. No, we reached that through an incredible process of feedback with the community, and that's what's polishing the diamond. Nobody considers themselves the totally author, the totally showrunner, the totally mastermind behind what we have now. What we have now is a product of our constant friction and interaction with super players, for super communities, metas from all around the world. Some guy has a brilliant idea somewhere and that impacts the game. Some people just has the perception that the guided missile combo is overpowered or whatever. Okay, we might address it. But do we see it the same way? No, but it's perception of the people that you have also to respect in a certain way.
Right.
Many things going on.
So very, very collaborative in the creative process and refining. Kind of just like it is on the table between the two players to have the experience working with each other to play. That's very neat.
Yeah, it can be seen like that. I mean, we are not all the most permeable, I don't know the word, the most receptive, the most like a sponge, getting all the feedback and filtering perfectly the feedback. That's very difficult.
Yes.
But, we can react to that, especially when we have like a digital rulebook and a digital tool that allows us to change, to modify profiles if needed. All that also benefits Warcrow a lot, because Warcrow is going to go that same way. If at some point the Warcrow competitive scene happens when they have already 4 factions, we consider that 4 factions will be the moment for really allowing the community to play their tournaments and see what happens. If suddenly the game breaks because someone pulls out an army list on one of the armies that breaks everything because the guy was incredible smartass and suddenly the statistics show that some army with that combination of units wins everything, you can always modify a certain tweak on the profile in order to bring balance to the force in the universe.
And that sounds awesome. We got to get my Warcrow demo this weekend at the Krug, and it was incredibly fun. I like a lot of the mechanics I was seeing in that. So I'm excited to see that take off. I think it has a lot of potential in that system.
Yeah, I agree. I demoed or played in a demo of Warcrow a couple weeks ago, and I definitely like the foundations, and I'm really excited to see once factions start filtering in and there's more variety of play. I think that it looks really promising, and I'm excited to see the direction of that.
I love the switches. I love the Cincinnati stage. A good roll is a good roll. You hit, you do stuff, but a bad roll with the switches, wait. I can spend this symbol and this symbol to at least do something,
Yeah, right.
And that's like that kind of managing resources that you have at some point, and that's cool. That's something that I enjoy a lot from Aristella, from Defiance, and now from Warcraft. Yeah.
And then getting back to Infinity, things that have been revealed in the videos at Gen Con and at the Krug that I found really fascinating was just some of the ways things have changed to make the game easier to understand for newer players. And I'm talking specifically about the change from damage to possibility to survive, changing that mechanic from the only roll in Infinity that was you had to roll higher than the target to now it's in line with equal to or under. Because that's something I find a lot of new players trip up on. I think that mathematically it's identical chances, but it's just a very elegant solution to bring it all in line for people mentally to grasp the concepts.
Yeah, I just learned today that possibility of survival is an actual nowadays military term. It's being used when in the weapon analyzing and analytics and stuff. It's an actual term. In fact, it works in many languages. Possibility of survival, posibilidad de supervivencia. And in French, it's also PS. I mean, the PS thing goes in many languages, except German, I guess, but
Sure.
the rest.
Yeah. So,
But yes, that is something that they even consider for M4.
Okay.
But they didn't pull it out, and they didn't waste more time in it. But for M5, they like they have it in a drawer, like this. So all the rolls go down because, well, maybe things are towards beginner-friendly thing, and it's not only because really the workers who make demos always say my players are totally confused with why the armor, the salvation roll is different from the rest of the rolls. So they have that ready for that. As the vitality and wounds, because the people who write the rules classes with that many times, and it's confusing. So now it's vitality just for human organic creatures, and the mechanical inventions have structure.
sure.
So the doctors and engineers will still operate the same. It's just a change in terminology.
Yes, one subtle change has no impact in the game. Many of the changes have no impact in the game. If you realize the possibility of survival thing, the mathematics is still the same. Some people has these last 2 days. Some people have made Excel files showing that the new critical with values of low chroma about 20 is the same in mathematics. But it's easier, it's simpler, faster.
Right.
And I think just mentally, because how many times have you been at a table, Devin, and it's okay, I got hit with this and it's AP and then I have cover, and then you have to calculate it out, and it just seems so much smoother. I'm like, I need to hit this, I add my armor, I add my cover, bam, that's my number.
Yeah, I think that it will take a little bit of adjustment for veteran players because you have to reverse it all in your head. But I think that it will be a very useful tool for newer players to kind of standardize what you're expecting for rolls.
Yeah, I mean, I was witnessing the final match on the Crack with Polynikes against King Bat, and Polynikes was passing salvation rolls like 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. Those same rolls wouldn't work with possibility of survival.
Sure.
Because they were high rolls, and now we're here people looking for low rolls. So you have to change your dice, Polynikes.
So one thing that we've kind of touched on or skirted around a little bit is the feedback.
Sorry for being so disorganized and without having a structure in this conversation. It's just a casual conversation, guys.
Yeah. No, we're unscripted here, so we're just doing it live.
I just trust Gravity Pool and Robert Shepard to make a summary the podcast in the valuable things that were said were this. Boom, 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 boom.
It'll be a lot shorter.
Yes.
But yeah, so one thing I'm kind of interested in is, can you talk a little bit about what the feedback loop with rules changes look like? So you hear something from Work Wars or players or see something online.
But that is specifically feedback from people who plays the game actually.
Right.
How do I express this? In the cortex of planet Earth. First are the tectonic plates, and then is whatever is above them. The tectonic plates are the needs from the company, okay?
Sure.
So one of the first meetings of M5 were like the needs of the company, the catalog of miniatures, the SKU bloat, okay?
Sure.
Which are going to be the SKUs that remain once we release M5? Which are the SKUs that we will launch with M5? Where how many miniatures do we have now that should survive? Lots of stuff. Because and that has impact in the game in what? In the generic vanilla armies, for example, because they cannot have all the profiles. If we are reaching 6 sectorial armies for Pano, the amount of profiles that we are dealing with is incredible. It's too much. And what do you say to the player who I just play vanilla Pano? I just want to feel acontecimientos regulars. I go to a store and I ask for acontecimientos regulars. They're not available. How dare you, Corvus Belli? That is going to happen with 1,000 miniatures that are not on catalog right now available. And if you consider the rules for vanilla armies, it's a silly rule right now. Like everything goes to the vanilla army. Except the last releases for Bakunin certain nuns which are not available for generic. Why? Because it's a bloat of profiles. It's madness.
And Torchlight as well is kind of following suit with that.
Well, and I really like having certain profiles that aren't in vanilla that are only in the sectorial.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of
some flavor.
identity stuff and flavor, yeah.
And it gives, I agree with that. That gives them more personality to the sectorial. But so since the beginning of M5, since the first things coming even from production, people from production saying the vanilla armies have to become sectorials. They say like that. Vanilla armies have to become sectorials. Then they kind of the friction between rules developers, the company and stuff is down the whole thing, but is yes, we need a list, like a sectorial list, but for vanilla Pano. We have to choose which profiles they can use. That cannot be all the profiles from all the sectorials. It's absurd when someone reaches 6 sectorial armies. It's totally bananas.
Right.
So, but when you keep a faction with just 3 sectorials, like Nomads, okay, fine, just 3 sectorials, but look at the list of those sectorials. I composed the screenshots with all the logos for the sectorials.
Yeah.
And I have to reduce the space between rows because the Nomad sectorials are full of profiles.
Yeah.
Because we keep them with the 3 spaceships, fine,
Right.
but they are full of options. No, that's also what makes some of them so powerful, that allows to build the grid of repeaters and ways to expand the influence of your hackers and guided missiles, because you have so many profiles.
Right.
Compare that with, I don't know, US Ariadna back in the day, or some sectorials from Ariadna, and I have plenty of space to put all the logos there because they do not have so many profiles. So when you're looking at generic vanilla Ariadna, generic vanilla Novas, they cannot be the back of all tools that everything is over there, has no order, the developers have no control over there. Then people demand balance into the game, but at the same people wants the vanilla Nomads to have everything.
Sure.
That is when the needs from the company and the needs from the developers to have control over the things go together. And yes, let's make the vanilla factions more self-contained in a certain way, more organized.
Sure. Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, the game can't infinitely expand.
Yeah.
That's just not feasible.
Because we're currently at 43 or so factions, counting vanilla and every sectorial, and trying to balance all of that with everything within them across 43 or so separate army lists, effectively. That's extremely difficult.
That's when Magic the Gathering enters the conversation. They have to create their own standard modern stuff, because suddenly this card, when with this card from 10 years ago, infinite super combo.
Absolutely.
Cannot be like that.
And then coupled with out of print models and out of print factions, that are very hard for newer players. It's not a problem for me because I own all of it, but for a newer player, like I want to play Shock Army or I want to play Merovingia or something, and it's not available. So that's very difficult.
I love Shock Army, and the starter for Shock Army, the second starter for Shock,
fantastic.
Beautiful. Believe me, the goal was really composed by artists. To get rid of those miniatures, to discontinue them, it was painful for us.
I bet.
But it has to be done. They will
Yeah.
make their comeback at some point, But right now,
Can't wait.
yeah.
Yeah. So, kind of rolling back some more to like mechanical things for N5, and I know there's limits on what you can answer, so feel free to just tell me nothing. But so as far as things that you're aware of that are things that people maybe were looking for changes or worried about, like Guided is a good example that's been mentioned.
Yeah.
What are some things that you are excited about that kind of address concerns that the community might have, or things that you think are exciting changes that might fix some perceived or otherwise issues?
A concern that people has that I'm aware of is that they didn't like that suddenly everybody and their neighbor got Natural Born Warrior. Okay, but Natural Born Warrior now will just cancel the negative modifiers and everybody will keep on their lovely positive modifiers. Therefore, everybody will be rolling for 26s and 27s, and therefore everybody will benefit from the new critical hit rule that goes from below. And
it's more defensive.
Yeah, I think that mathematics keeps being the same, but sometimes it's not the mathematics, sometimes it's perception.
Yes.
Sometimes people say that they feel that it shouldn't be this way, or they feel like that. Consider that also certain players, and some of them are competitive players, but they are also very caring about the fiction that is being represented on the table, which doesn't happen with chess.
Sure.
Okay, but with our hobby, people want the fiction that happens on the table to have certain level of coherency and stuff.
And something that I absolutely love about the setting is that the fiction and the models and the army lists
and the fluff,
all of this ties together. And what I mean about that is like, Merovingia gets rotated off of Paradiso, and they're going out of print, but there's a fluff reason. They were attacked by Onyx now, and then we're putting this in to replace them, and so it makes sense. Or we just got the new Tikbalang, and I thought it was just beautiful because it's the Stingray Series 4, and the old one, which I absolutely love, is the Stingray Series 3, and just like the Swallow Mark 1 and Mark 2, and you see the progression in the timeline. I mean, going all the way back to the Magariba Guard with the original, like the Scarab and now the Scorpion, and I love that progression in fluff and game and models that I don't think anybody else really does that.
I think they do. I mean, we all share these kind of fantasies. But, for example, talking about fiction, I know that Cosmoflot was an idea from Gutierre, because Gutierre really needed ways of including Ariadna in the narrative of Infinity.
Yes.
And Ariadna was so in their planet, protecting just their frontiers, that he really needed to bring Ariadna into Concilium, bring Ariadna into Wotan conflict, stuff like that. And he was always struggling with that. So, in a way, he created Cosmoflot for bringing all profiles back into business and stuff like that. Yes, but also integrate more Ariadna into space, really.
Yeah.
So certain decisions are many. There are many angles towards this. But yes, Ariadna was totally falling apart. Was having its own subplot and not being involved with the Combined Army at all. Stuff like that.
Yeah, it makes sense that they needed to be involved, especially since there was so much space combat in that area, dealing with the Acheron blockade and all of that. So,
they made joint forces with O12, and so O12 provides space stations and spaceships, so Ariadna crews can be there, stuff like that.
And illegal bears. I would also kind of want to go back a little bit to our conversation about things just for the continued health of the game. Some things must be cut because it can't just keep going. Now, I know we probably can't go into much detail in terms of what, and I know things will eventually kind of rotate in. Now, do you have any advice for, and we kind of talked about this otherwise, but do you have advice for local community organizers or workhorse to help new players enter the game and like steer towards or away certain things? Like obviously Sand Trap will be great.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. For veterans, I will say the golden line that I came up with at this event: enjoy the new stuff until the old stuff comes back.
Mhm.
That's a good line. Okay, safe spots regarding the arrival of M5, regarding your purchases.
Right.
Okay, that's what you want to be. Okay, so obviously Operation Sandtrap,
Of course.
Mobilization Nembutai, and Kestrel Colonial Force. Yeah, those are the two new armies that arrive and will get all the love and all the attention. GSA gets all the love and all the attention. JSA is a safe spot, totally. Okay, fine.
Sure.
We agree with that. Now, let's go back to the most recently released armies. Torchlight Brigade, totally safe spot. In fact, it was created at M5 and then translated into M4. Going to back, Bakunin, Jurisdiction and Command, Observancy, that is very recent army, totally safe spot. Okay. What else it will be a safe spot?
Steel Phalanx.
And Assassins, I'm sure, from Black Wind.
Yes, Assassins, because they are in the TV series, they will absolutely remain, because, and Steel Phalanx. But the Steel Phalanx is going to suffer certain tweaks, and I cannot reveal much more. But don't worry, the Steel Phalanx that you play and love still will be the same. Stuff will happen.
Mostly the same.
I mean, if we are addressing with what people consider broken overpower, guided missiles fall way behind the superpower that is Steel Phalanx nowadays in tournaments. I mean, Steel Phalanx has many incredible unit profiles, and nobody's complaining about them. But we should complain about them because they are totally overpowered, in my opinion, much more than any kind of super player that put guided missiles on the table. Just like that. I mean, I know
Guided missiles beat Phalanx, right? It's the rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, but a mediocre player with a Steel Phalanx might arrive at a match against a very good player with guided missiles, and a very good player might beat him.
Sure.
But that 300 points Steel Phalanx box that we have just released, that's a safe spot, yeah. But totally. But that is a box that, like the military orders box that we released like 2-3 years ago, which is very effective. Those are very safe spots also, and they are so powerful profiles that a mediocre player can perform very well with them. It's not the same that if you buy, I don't know, the Invincible box that we have just released, the 300 points back. That is more difficult to play with, in my opinion.
Sure.
Because they don't have mimetism -6 everywhere, or they do not have incredible synergies between units with the Knight of the Holy Sepulchre. You will have to play good, become a good player to pull it out all the successful juice that you can pull out of those Eugene units. But in Eugene, we just accept excellent players. It's like that. You were talking about cutting profiles or cutting armies from M5, because we can talk about that. I made an image. Have you seen that image? I made an image. I cannot post it publicly. The people from marketing no, don't make this image public. I just enjoy myself with the logos of Infinity, and I put all the armies in one screenshot.
Sure.
There are like 43 armies. That cannot be like that. 43 armies is an absurd amount of armies. We have to cut some of them out, okay? The first one to be left out are going to be the mercenary NA2 companies, most of them, Some of them might be totally swallowed by factions, because I think that Starco is so nomad that at some point might be like a flavor inside one of the sectorials or something like that. What else? But 43 armies. That is absolute bananas. I cannot be like that.
Sure.
But at the same time, armies making a comeback, because at the beginning and day one of M5 won't have all the armies, But certain armies will be just waiting for a comeback. I can imagine that certain armies appear on day one just recalculated to M5, but they are just waiting for their moment to update their army list. It's like we suddenly M5 has Bakooning recalculated, and suddenly the observancy of Bakooning happens and then changes the whole list and stuff like that. Because we have certain surprises hidden there.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah, and we also made our own internal observations about what's going on with money, with margin, with profit. Okay, Bakooning is a good example. Getting an old army, making it new, and deliver the new profiles with a box of new miniatures and a wave of releases and everything. That was profitable. What I'm trying to say here is that rules developers and profiles cannot be a separate island from artwork and design and delivering miniatures. When they go together, the miracle happens that everything becomes profitable.
Sure.
But if rules developers and profiles update the army tomorrow morning or remember how the Druze Bayram company was released?
Yes.
Yeah.
One Thursday, any given Thursday, suddenly in the army you open it without no marketing, without no preview advertisement or anything, a new effing sectorial army appeared coming out of nowhere with and just some hardcore fans that were totally clicking on the app suddenly realized, holy shit, there's a new army here.
Yeah.
No videos from Carlos anywhere, no Facebook images anywhere, just happened.
Yeah.
And the recently released box of Druze suddenly got a lot of value because there was a sectorial army for them.
Yeah.
So that's the perfect storm of how not to do things.
Sure.
The proper thing to do with Bayern and Druze happening will be like thin week of videos. There's this army coming, and then we have this lovely box full of Druze with the hacker with the blue hair and Jethro from the graphic novel and Aslan from the graphic novel and the generic Druze all together with, I don't know, bikes, something colorful.
Right.
Put it there. So suddenly in the same week the profiles are delivered, explaining videos to you with everybody making podcasts and stuff, and people will buy the box like crazy. So that is when money enters, So M5, let's imagine that certain army is going to get new profiles and new stuff, but not on day one. So save it for later.
Sure.
Because people love to have activity every 3 months. So just delay it 3 months, and after everybody has gotten their piece of Operation Sandtrap, now deliver the new army with the new profiles and new miniatures, and everything is colorful, and now is the new stuff. Because if tomorrow the 43 armies that we're talking about got updated to M5 without no promotion, without nothing happening, okay, everybody will be clicking on the making army lists, sharing their views on forums. This is good, this is bad, this is awful. And we will say not a single model, So coordinate the release of the miniatures, the arrival of the miniatures with beautiful artwork and beautiful designs and super cool videos full of dubstep music with the arrival of the profiles. And that is, profitable.
Right. Makes sense.
This is an American
business.
This is an American podcast, and I speak in these terms. If I say this in a Spanish podcast, they will say, "Oh, you pigs! You just want money, greedy people." But in America, people understand these terms. The money is oxygen. The company needs to breathe.
Yeah. So, otherwise, then there are no more miniatures ever. So
yeah, and then people will be, hey, what was a good game? Infinity. Yeah, that was the shit. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah.
I like it is a good game right now, and it will continue to be so. That's the goal.
Yeah, like X-Wing. I mean, Fantasy Flight X-Wing is death now. Why is death? What keeps you away from playing it? Like, it's there.
Sure.
But for some reason, people say it's death. I don't know.
I haven't played it in a long time, but I understand a lot of that stuff with company priority shifted with the publisher and things going around, and it wasn't getting as much support. And it's also very hard with a licensed property like that.
Probably many things. But apart from that, what keeps you away from getting your X-Wing and your Millennium Falcon and having fun from them?
Right.
I mean, in Spain, Blood Bowl from GW in Spain is huge, and people keep playing it like a lot because they love it, with or without support. The communities that are playing WoW in Spain, I've been told that they are super active and they keep the game alive by themselves because they love it. That's it,
Sure. That's been everywhere for Blood Bowl until GW did their relaunch. But even then, there's so many people that just want to play the older versions. That's one of the weird outliers that survived without company support because the community loved it so much.
Yeah. And we can talk about that phenomenon happening with many other things. There are like, I don't know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There has a huge cult going on that once the series was over, they made fanfics, comic books, stuff. The stuff keep on selling. Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think that it still goes to conventions and whatever, like people got crazy with that and keeping them alive.
Yeah.
Or Harry Potter. Despite the horrible movies of the Fantastic Beasts, people is still hooked with Harry Potter and whatever you pull out today with Harry Potter still sell,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's true.
As you can notice, this conversation has no structure at all. We're just drinking our tea and jumping from subject to subject, and it's what we wanted, okay?
That's right. It's very informal. But yeah, I will say that I'm very, very excited, as I'm sure, everyone listening is excited for N5. And as far as the armies as they release, is it safe to say that like every vanilla faction will be present as far as overall factions?
Yeah.
And it's just some sectorials won't be available.
But especially essentials is going to be like the line of product, like Code One, that contemplates Vanilla 12, Vanilla Yuching, Vanilla GSA, like the Vanilla armies, Vanilla Hack Islam. And then the releases that are not labeled as essentials are, assassins, are
the operation boxes or the army pack boxes,
or the chosen sectoral army that we're going to focus for the next 6 months or year towards this faction and stuff like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
And how much have you been able to play of N5 during its production cycle up until now?
Very little. Yeah. I was more like trying to get demo games from Warcrow because I had to make this so recently. They were published the demo videos for Warcrow, and then you're going to events, and so very, very little.
Yeah, you've been really busy the last while, really.
Yeah, one busy man. No, especially. I also don't want to play games when the things are not totally finished because I did that back in the day, and then I was talking about rules, and that rule wasn't there in the final version. Oh, really? Stuff like that. Because if it was up to the developers, N5 will release much later. Because they are pushing now the everything that they can, all the minutes and seconds they can. For keeping making changes to what we have and stuff like that.
Sure.
The guided missile combo, the guided missiles. I don't know what's the last version of them fixing it. I don't know if there's a +3, -3. I heard something about being able to respond to the attack of a guided missile with reset -3. But that -3 is not additional to the attack from no line of fire, no line of sight -3. So we just reset willpower -3.
Sure.
And if you succeed, you dodge the missile, no damage, and also get rid of the state.
Sure.
That was one of the versions. I don't know if that is the definitive one, because that was written in February.
Sure.
So is that the last one? It's probably discussing right now, and then getting plain reset. Like, I don't know,
Sure, yeah.
That's why in my graphic in the graph I wasn't addressing the final version of the rule. I know that they were addressing the point, but we agree that was not the broken combo. That has that kind of indirect attack that doesn't look like that much infinity-ish. But what that was also when we were making N3, we were talking about guidance insights in the same terms. Like I have my fire team in this tower here, and your fire team is in that tower over there. But that hacker targeted you, and now instead of using my whole fire team with 5 lovely figures, no, I'm just using the remote. So the nature of it.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, I can understand why some players might find that uninteractive. And we've talked about this on the show a handful of times. And I like that guided is a tool in the game, though I do think a small change is probably enough. Like the example I like to use is that you change potentially like guided instead of +6, it's only +3 because everything else that gets targeted is just +3. And like Andromeda was showing up everywhere when she had a +6 to infiltrate.
Yeah.
And then she goes to +3 to infiltrate, and now
It's 50-50.
Now it's like she's, only sometimes there.
Robert Shepard mentioned that, not at the specific Andromeda theme, but the perception. Sometimes reality and facts against perception.
Right.
Once that my +6 became a +3, oh, they nerf it. I will never use it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have to face it then.
Yeah.
Right.
How about to have Ferroware, guys? I mean, nobody is ready for that. Nobody can counter that. It's an indirect attack. Nobody's using it, no, because Toha are not there. I'm sure you have Tohas at home. Like you don't feel like it. Okay, fine. But it's something that if Tohas were like popular and hot stuff right now in the meta, then people will be complaining of Ferroware because reasons,
They were so unpopular, they didn't even have a presence at the Krug.
Yeah, there were no Toha players.
There was no Toha player. That's the first, I think, for an event that we've been to.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I didn't think about that. There were
For major.
Yeah, there were 5 earlier this year at Salt Lake Showdown, but there weren't any here.
Weird.
That leads the conversation to the competitive scene is not that competitive. I mean, we can make things worse by putting, the guy who wins this tournament gets $10,000. And now Toha will resurface because people will be super like winning. No, they are enjoying playing with their miniatures and stuff. And people is playing with whenever we release a battle box, and then in tournaments you will see lots of people with those armies. When after releasing Defiance, the amount of Sasvasti players went off the roof. So people play with the miniatures that they like, and they are there, and especially if they are part of a big box launch. But if Toha has rules that no other people has, everybody is not expecting them, and they are so efficient, then if we are competitive, then bring Toha. You can use any kind of proxy if you want. There's no excuse with the miniatures, and using Ferroware everywhere, and everybody like, oh my god, this thing is different from everything, but it's not happening. So
Sure. Yeah, and we're going to transition over to some final thoughts or maybe last little tidbits, but I want to give a quick thank you to everyone who supports the show, both just by listening, and those of you who are able to generously support us on Patreon. We really appreciate that. If you are interested in supporting the show, you can find us on patreon.com/metachemistry, and we provide some extra benefits as a show of thanks in return for that, like some exclusive channels on our Discord, or early access to episodes, final voting in polls, things like that. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, you get a 10% discount code to Mo Games. So if that's something you're willing and able to do, we'd love to have you. Otherwise, if not, please join our Discord. Other than some of those channels, it's free for anyone to join. We've got a community from around the world there, and it's a great place to talk Infinity or show off paint jobs, discuss lists, and all that good stuff. And there'll be plenty more N5 speculation coming soon, I'm sure. But with that, as we kind of wrap, Carlos, do you have any kind of last tidbits or really, kind of juicy stuff that you want to throw in before we call it a day?
Something juicy. The martial arts chart is going to change in M5. You will be allowed to roll in certain levels, 2 dice and choose one of them, which is not burst 2. It's like you roll 2 dice and you choose one of them. What else? Let me think about. quickly. Well, the vanilla armies will allow to make certain fire teams. Harris, some of them. They will have a chart of fire teams, the vanilla armies. Not that flexible, not like any kind of tutorial, but allowed to do that in order to, compensate the cat profiles that will suffer. What else I can think of? Something.
Other interesting fire team changes, maybe?
Yeah, well, addressing fire teams, the whole thing with the fire teams that are pure and the fire teams that are mixed, there will be a new way of clarifying when a fire team is pure and when a fire team is mixed, and the bonus that they have in a much more simple way, without having huge impact in the game, but an easier way to clarify that stuff. I don't remember the details, but
No problem.
sound more naturally, like the critical hit with close combat, something that is more natural and more intuitive. So yeah, many things are coming, and many of the changes within 5 are focusing on making the game more beginner friendly. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things, and I've mentioned it, probably on the last episode or two, talking about how I'm really excited that there's kind of this swell of momentum for Infinity, and that's going to get new players into the game and grow the community that we all love. And I know that locally I'm planning on running an escalation league for when Sandtrap drops or thereabout. And yeah, it's just a great time to be an Infinity player. So go out and make some more of those.
Yeah. And then we get to see within 5 and what factions are dropping at launch. And we'll figure out the period of time that you guys will get to force me to play the faction of your choice.
So, Carlos, thank you again. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know it's been a pretty hectic time for you lately.
It was a pleasant conversation and very chill out and very relaxed and super comfortable here, so no problem at all.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. It was really great to have you. And I hope all of you listening enjoyed the show. We're going to be covering more N5 stuff as that becomes available. On behalf of Metachemistry, this has been Devin,
Ian.
And this has been Bostria, and that's the meta.